Hey guys, how's it going? It's the color of Boom here. Just woke up really early in the morning, but we gotta get going because today we got another video. We're going to the Mleiha Archaeological Center, and for once in our lives, in the life of this vlog, it's actually not hot outside. We're so early in the morning that it's still kind of cool. And we're gonna go there, and I'm assuming we're gonna see a museum and then see a few rocks. I think we're gonna get like a safari tour, so to speak, through the desert. And I have no idea what to expect really, but we'll see you guys there. So to start off with, we've stopped at this camel farm, and the tour guide is about to take us in his jeep to the rest of his car, the rest of the sites, a couple famous rocks and stuff. Check in then. Oh, there's the Camel Rock, right there. We made it. After this, we should be going to the Fossil Rock, wherever that is. It's like a roller coaster. This guy he's got a special driving license for driving in the dunes. It's pretty crazy. We found a leaf, evidence of trees that used to be water. In the video here, it's really bright outside, but you can see there's a line where the sand at the bottom, sorry, I'm out of breath, at the bottom of this mountain. At the bottom of that mountain, it's like all sandy, and suddenly it becomes really jagged rock. There's a line that makes that out, and that line is where the sea level used to be here. Which is pretty crazy now that it's all just desert. We reached the Fossil Rock, which I think is the last major thing we're going to be looking at. So there's a lot of fossils. This is a better one. I don't know if you can see that well. Turn the camera so I can see it. Yes, you can see it. So this whole huge mountain rock formation is just chock full of these shells from like a really long time ago. So that's why it's famous. So we're done. We're sweating up a storm, and we finished. We got the full tour going out and around. It was pretty nice. It was really cool. A lot of nice stuff, and the tour guide was very nice, very polite and all that. And so that's our hour of tour guiding done. Now we get to come back here, and we're going to go through the museum that they have about this whole area. And then there's also an archaeological site and a tomb. And there's a viewing deck to look down at the tomb, and I think part of the archaeological site. So we're gonna go look at that. There's a map here. Maybe I'll figure out something and I'll let you guys know what it is. But right now we're gonna go into the museum, and then we should probably go and look at that tomb, and I'll check back with you when we're doing that. La 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 la.
And simple rafts, and hunt in a landscape that was much greener than it is now. Over the next 10,000 years, they expanded along the coastlines and hinterlands of the peninsula, where the environment had become hospitable after the end of the cold period, around 135,000 years ago.
Spooktober, guys. They're following the theme. They got Skeletors. Okay, so we finished in the museum. Now we're on our way down this ramp that we just went up. Yeah, you guys are like, oh, another museum. We can't avoid the museums. I'm sorry. If you're watching this, if you're any part of my channel, you'll know that there's like a museum every other place we go. But in any case, after we finished that, we walked up this ramp, and there was a more modern tomb that they had found here. That there was like a viewing deck to look over it and stuff. And there's I took a picture of it. It'll be in the blog. It's nothing amazing, so I didn't pull out my. I mean, it's cool, but I didn't pull out my camera because we're supposedly going to be seeing some more stuff, at least similar to it. But it's the most intact one, and so just a burial area. Over 300 bodies apparently were found inside. It's a lot of dead people to be put in one grave, but it's like a perfect circle. It's just, they haven't touched it except maybe they fixed it up a little bit. So you can see it's like this huge circular wall that they've built up around these tombs and segmented it inside for the different groupings of bodies. It's a lot more in-depth than if you remember when we went to the Iraq Museum and stuff and the Mleiha Archaeological site. It's nothing like those ones. It's much more. I mean, they said that they found some ones like that around here. They're like just sort of broken, you know, just sort of rocks laid in a circle, and then there's some bodies found in there. There are things like that here, but this one is nothing like that. This one was properly built up and all that. But anyways, so this is just the like main center with the museum and everything. Now we're going to go to the parts of the site that are actually open to the public. God, it is hot. So over that way in the mountains, it's called, there's a spot there called the Valley of Caves, or that's what they call it. So apparently there's a bunch of caves where people lived and stuff. So we're gonna go look at those, hopefully, if we can make it, if our car can handle the rough riding. And then over that way is where the actual main archaeological site is, with like the palace and more of the older tombs and like some houses, and even they found like camel and horse burial sites, which was very weird. In the museum they had a recreation of that, which will probably also be on the blog. Just took a picture of it. They had a recreation of the tomb where they found this camel and horse together. And God, it's creepy. But in any case, it's like later in the years when they became more civilized, then higher ranking people would be, their animals would be killed and buried with them, especially camels and horses, because those were like super valuable and a sign of high status or whatever. But in any case, that's enough of me talking. I can do enough of that later on. I can do much more of that. As you guys know, I can do a lot of talking in the end of these videos. So in any case, we're gonna head down to, I think, the caves first, and then we'll go to the actual archaeological site and see you guys there. This is the cave formation area. So there's a bunch of cave stuff here. Not any like super deep down there cave. That's the viewing platform. It's interesting, but it's so hot outside, and it's a pretty long walk up through these ragged mountainous area. I'm not sure it's, you know, curse me, but I'm not sure it's worth it. See, like, that's kind of cool. But then you're like, oh, but wait, I'm drenched in sweat, super thirsty, and I have to walk all the way back to my car. I don't know, I'm being probably too harsh on it. And I don't know, you know, it's just a bunch of rocks and caves, which is what you'd expect, I guess. I should just stop, you know, dissing it. But in any case, now that we're done here, I think there's one other place that's like a wadi or something. A wadi is like a water basin. That should be somewhere nearby. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. If that is a fact, and I believe we'll be going there. If it's not a fact, then the next place we'll be going is the actual archaeological site with all the palace and all the actual houses and stuff. So, I guess we'll see you guys there. Okay guys, this is another place next to the caves. It's tombs. There's supposed to be tombs. There's 3 of them. Older tombs, much older obviously, that they excavated. You can see they're fenced off. And I think the fences are locked, and even if they aren't, we're really hot and we already saw pictures and stuff of them. So just wanted to check in to let you guys know that we did pass by them. If you know about this place and you look at the video and you're like, "Ooh, you missed the tombs," don't, because we did see them. And moving on. This is the last thing here in the mountainous whatever area. Sorry, I'm kind of done. So it's a good thing that this is the last thing. But it's still really cool. It's kind of sad that I'm like super tired and just, I mean, we got up super early and it's really hot outside and we've been walking around a lot, but forget about that. Stop talking about me. So this place is, it's supposed to be, you can see it's very cool. This is from the Ice Age and Paleolithic and Neolithic periods. That it's basically a place where they stayed, obviously. So this whole area, like this down, you can see there's like, they have a little thing there that tells you about the different soils and stuff. So there's Paleolithic, Paleolithic BP, Paleolithic B, Paleolithic A, Neolithic, and then Wadi gravel. So that's like much more modern, when this is like actually a wadi where water would, after it rains, it collects water here. I don't know if these walls are original, if they put them here. I'm guessing they've put them here. They look a bit more modern, and they say don't go inside the walled area. I mean, it's a bit too neat, you know, so I think that it's a walled off area. These patches, they don't talk about all these patches. These are all just excavation places. I don't think that there's actually supposed to be anything that happened there. It's just places where they've found some stuff, so they've excavated it. But this thing, this rock formation here is the big thing, because they found some cave paintings in there and some, you know, like tools and stuff. And it's supposed to be, they're saying, they believe that in the Ice Age, people would take shelter here. Some nomads or whatever. It's like a good place to hunker down, I guess. But anyways, so now we're gonna go on to the actual archaeological, the main archaeological site with the palaces and everything that I've been talking about so much. So see you guys there. This is the fort. Sorry, this thing's in the way. I'm gonna stand here, move down a little ways. They haven't finished building the platforms for it. I don't think we were allowed to go inside. There's nothing that's saying you shouldn't, but I'm just not going to. But in any case, they've built walls around it where they've dug. You can see it's like, this is supposed to be the fort. And we found a herd of kittens that was living in there. They've run off now, they're over there. Their mom took them out. But in any case, it's cute. This is the archaeological site. It's huge. It's like really big, like way down over there. And by the way, can I just say, it's super neat how they've set all of this up. Because like way down over there, I mean, it's such a huge area. Like it's like the Shimmel Archaeological Site, if you guys remember that. It's like a huge area with all the big finds spread across all around the area. And then it's like, it was just sort of like laid around and you just kind of had to find your own way driving through the gravel. But here they've got roads and stuff, or like pathways that they've cleaned out and showing you, and every place has like a tent over it and signs along the main road telling you that this is where this thing is. And it's all done by this one thing. So way over there, if you can see those mountains, that's where we were for the caves. And then over there, if you can see that blue sign, those blue signs, I don't know if you can see that, but just beyond those, that's where the museum is. And beyond the museum over there, in another sort of sand dune area, that's where the Camel Rock was and everything. And then this fort is here. And then if you go far beyond the fort, then you reach the camel graveyard. And beyond that, there's a normal graveyard. And then down there, way back there, where you can start to see the trees lining up, there's the actual village area. And here behind these houses, supposedly, like a little ways behind to the left a little bit, is supposed to be the, is supposed to be another set of tombs. And then way down there in that direction is supposed to be the palace. And everything has been properly, you know, set up and everything, all that. And the museum was just, again, I'm a sucker for museums, you guys know that. But the museum was just awesome and it's made so well. But anyways, so we're gonna head down that way. Maybe we'll pass by the palace and stop there. I don't know, some of the stuff here is a little fenced off, so I think that maybe they're still working on a lot of it, but we'll see what we can see. And the last bit, ladies and gentlemen, this is the palace. It's the farthest in the direction that we're headed. It's the last bit that we, well, sorry about that, camera freak out. It's the last bit that we can possibly see on the main road. That whole area, the whole site, the whole archaeological site with all the tombs and everything and the fort and all that, we're just lucky enough that the fort is like right along the road. The rest of the stuff is all a little further back in and it's all fenced off. There's no openings anywhere. So I'm assuming that they still have not decided that they want to stop working there. But these walls that have been built here are supposedly supposed to be the palace, according to our map. So behold the great palace walls, and come back in another maybe like a year or something and there'll actually be a road that will take us through there like the map says it's supposed to. But in any case, hope you guys enjoyed seeing it, and we'll check back with you when we get home. Hey guys, we just got back from the Mleiha Archaeological site in Sharjah. It's really close to Quwain. It's sort of strafing Quwain, but it's Sharjah. It's technically Sharjah and it's funded by Sharjah and everything. So it's in Sharjah. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of specifics about it. I'm really tired and I want to have a shower after walking in the sun for so long. So I'm just going to talk about our trip there, and all the fact that I'm going to say is that it was opened in 2016. And it's been worked on, the actual archaeological site had been worked on for 40 years up until then. So they gathered a bunch of stuff. And the site, the oldest parts of the site are from between 130,000 to 120,000 years ago. So some pretty old, like Paleolithic, way back. Neolithic, really far back. So it's like basically people moved from Africa while there was still a land bridge, and then there's like mountains there and caves and stuff, and that's where they settled. And then there's some newer finds. There's like a bunch of tombs around the base of the mountain that they found, and then there's newer finds that are like a little further away from the mountain that are actually like buildings, like there's a palace and a fort and stuff, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So anyways, I'm gonna try and make this quick. I'm hoping that the video itself is longer. I've just started editing it. I've just started editing it, so I don't know exactly how long it's going to be, but I'm hoping, it's looking like it's going to be a longer video, so I don't need to talk too much here. But I already am. So we went there really early and it was very nice. We paid for there's three things that you can pay for. You can pay for more time basically and more stuff included. So like the first thing you would get, you can either just go on a tour of the mountainous area. There's three main things that you want to look at for now. Okay, so there are like 4 areas actually. There's the main center, which has a museum in it and everything. Then there is there's the mountainous area, like over the mountains into the dunes, and that's where they have like the camel rock and the fossil rock and some formations like that. And then in like just at the base of the mountains they have like a bunch of caves and tombs and stuff, and that's the 3rd area. And then lastly, on the other side of the road away from the mountains, a little ways away, is the archaeological site itself with all the stuff that they've excavated, all the main stuff, and the buildings and all that. However, the buildings are still not yet open to the public. So you can pay to do one or multiple of the other 3 things. So, and you can just go there on your own if you want. The museum itself is not just open to anyone, you have to pay for that. But the Camel Rock and the mountain area, you're free to go there on your own, but especially the Camel Rock and Fossil Rock, they're in the dunes, like they're in the desert. So unless you're a really good driver and you know where you're going, you should probably take the tour. But I mean, you don't have to. If you already know how to get there, just go there yourself. But, so we got access to the museum and the tour of the Camel Rock and Fossil Rock area. And then we just went to the cave area ourselves without a tour. If you got a tour, they'd probably tell you a bit of history about it that you may not have known, and apparently it would be a geologist taking you on the tour, so then they'd also have some information about the rocks and stuff. So we got there early in the morning, really nice weather, and we got a very nice gentleman from Pakistan to take us in his dune, his SUV, through the dunes to see the Camel Rock, and the Fossil Rock. And that was very cool. That might have been one of my favorite parts, not just because it was like really interesting, but also the guy was nice, and it was like early in the morning, and you know, things were just, it was like exciting, we were just getting into it. So that would probably be my favorite part of the whole thing. I know it's not the museum. What? That's not his favorite part? So we, this guy is a legend driver. I tried to get a video in the car, but it's so bumpy that I'm not sure it will be good enough. I haven't reached that video yet, so I'll have to see in the editing if I'll include it. But if not, just take my word for it, this guy's crazy. He'd like, if the dune was too high, he'd drive up at an angle, and then as we're sliding down, he'd be like whipping our butt back and forth, so we're kind of like drifting across it like a snake or something. And I don't know, he was like super impressive. And at the same, and the whole time he's just like, and like when we first entered the desert, he's like so cool, you know, he's like a young guy. So when we first entered and we got over our first dune, it's like what's the Speed Racer, not Speed Racer, Fast and Furious or whatever. He just, and he did a drift like over the dunes, and the rest of it he didn't do anything too crazy like that, but it's just like, whoa, everybody, and he's like, yeah, sort of thing. And he took us to the Camel Rock, which it does kind of look like a camel. I was expecting like something that looked like an actual camel, like a full camel, but it's just like a camel leaning back, so you just like kind of looks like its head and then the beginning of its hump, but it still looks like it, so it's okay. And then he took us to the Fossil Rock, which was really cool because it's like this huge boulder, like almost a mountain, and it's just full of fossils. He did a thing where he got a water bottle and he just poured water on different parts of it. No matter where he poured water, there's like a bunch of like shells from like the, you know, fossils from the probably the prehistoric time, like a lot of I think they're called animates or something like that, like the little swirly things that were supposed to be around when the dinosaurs were around, and just a lot of fossilized shells and a few bones as well in that rock, and that was really cool. And then he took us around to see some nice views of the area, and we went back, and that took about an hour. And then we went into the museum, which would be my second favorite part, because the museum was very awesome. I don't know what it is about Sharjah, but they just do a great job with museums. So, as usual, this museum was really good. Not as good as the Louvre, but it was good. And again, it's just the way that they display things. It's not like, again, you know, like I said before, I know from being a tour guide that pottery is nothing amazing. But still, somehow, when you see it in there and they give this description and they talk about it and then they give some theories about how it was used and all that, for me personally, my sister would just be done with it. Nim just goes through and she's waiting at the end for like half an hour, like, guys, get on with it. And I'm just like, this is interesting. And they had like recreations, like they found camel and horse tombs, like places where they, if it was next to the palace, and this rich guy, I guess he must have been somebody of high stature who died. They found this big enclosed area that's sort of like jumbled together of a bunch of tombs, and they're all camel tombs. And there's one tomb that had a camel and a horse, and in the middle of them there was a tomb that had been raided, that was supposed to be a human's tomb. So it's like some high stature guy who died, and all his camels, you know, because camels were like really valuable or back then, and horses as well, because horses don't last long in the harsh environment, at least back then. So it would be like really prestigious if you had one, and really hard to like upkeep. And so they had a recreation. They had it in the ground, and the whole floor was glass, and they had like dummies that they had made of the camel and the horse. It was kind of creepy, but at the same time, I mean, it's kind of cool. And they had bones of the parts of the camel that they had found. And just the whole museum was really cool. It's very small, so it's like just a little tiny, interesting thing to go through. And then the last thing that we did was the last real thing that we did was we went to the cave area just on our own, and they have a nice path that you can go through. It might be a bit better with a tour, but quite frankly, I'm not sure it was worth it for us. At least it really was just, it was so hot, and we walked up the mountains, and there's like a few tiny cubby caves, and you know, you're expecting to see something really cool, and up at the top they have a viewing deck at the end of the path that goes up the mountains, and you reach the viewing deck and it's like, okay, it's mountains, you know, it's nice, but I'm dying here. I'm like sweating and hot and tired, and I was expecting to see something really cool. So I don't want to diss it too much, but maybe also because I was just getting tired by then, but not my favorite part. And then after that, we drove on to the main road and went back behind to look at the archaeological site to see if it was open. Sadly, it was not. The fort there's a fort, a few tombs, a few houses, and a palace that they found. And they have it all on a map. And so the fort is like basically on the road almost, the main road. So it's easy to see it and you get out of the car, and it's even open. You could even walk in there, but there were some guys who were there were some guys in a porter cabin sitting there, and when we walked up there, they got up and they were sort of like, yo, stay back. And so it was probably, we were like, okay, best idea not to go in there. Although there was a family of kittens in there, and it was so cute. And they were like, we saw these kittens just standing there, and then suddenly the mom, like, boom, there's like a mama cat ran out, and then there's like, like a whole, like 8 kittens or something. We had only seen 2, and I was like, and they all like ran past us. Yeah, and then we drove by and looked at the other stuff as much as we could, but some of it is further back in there, but it was all fenced off and closed. So, and you could see they were building like, you could see like pieces of pathway along the, like going in there, but nothing that had fully been constructed. So clearly they're trying to get it open, but they hadn't completely done it. And especially the palace still had a bunch of archaeological setup around it, so they seemed like they still hadn't finished with it. But in any case, I really enjoyed it. I like the place a lot. Just Sharjah in general. Sharjah plus museum equals good time. You heard it here first. And of course, for me, I like museums no matter what. So it was a nice surprise that they had a museum. I had no idea what this place was at all. We were just looking at places we could go, and we saw it, and we decided to go there. It was a great thing. I don't think it's very I mean, there was like no one there when we went there, and they were talking. It seems very new and very modern. I would advise you go there. It's sort of out of the way. It's in a very tucked back sort of city. It's not like a big public area, so you'll have to look for it a little bit. But if you find it, I think it's well worth it. And like I said, I didn't try the mountain tour, so I can't say for that. But the sand dune tour to take you to the Camel Rock and the Fossil Rock, well worth the money. Do that one. That one was excellent. I loved it so much. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to check out the blog again for all the informational stuff. I'm not going to go through a whole thing all over again, but just trust me. This is me talking about our experience here in the video. People, stop complaining about it. This is me talking about how it was for us.
you want to know about it, a lot of people want to know more about it, go to the blog. I'm not just plugging it. I'm trying to be helpful to you guys, and I think about being that way when I'm writing the blog. So if you want some help, if you want to know about it, I even leave a link to the main site so you can go see about it. Go check out the blog, dab on the haters that hate on the dab and hate on the blog. And see you guys next time.